Okie dokie, boys and girls, it is day 363 of bulking to 75 kilos with calisthenics only. And today, well, we are not doing calisthenics, we are testing 1 rep maxes of the squats, bench, and deadlift. And overhead press, I guess I will do as well. But basically, today is a scientific experiment. We will find out if you train calisthenics, how strong you can get. And well, for some context, I've been training calisthenics for over 9 years now. So it's like about 6 to 7 years that I was focused on purely skills and skipping leg day. And then I guess in the last couple years, it was like I injured my ACL, so I did some rehab for my legs. That's basically how I got into squatting. And yeah, now I have 2 bulks. So I've been bulking for a year now. This is my second bulk. And basically, I have never benched in my life, so I don't know how that's going to happen, but I hope to get at least 100 kilos. Otherwise, I'm going to...
120, come on now. 120.
Yeah, at least 100, but I hope 120. So we're going to see what happens there, but I've dipped like 70 kilos for 15 reps for 2 sets clean, so I would be disappointed if I don't get 100, but 120 is the goal. For squats, I've actually tested this before, like I think 3 years ago it was. And at that time, I weighed 10 kilos less, but I got 105 kilos on the squat back then. Right now, my 1 rep max on the pistol squat is almost double, so I hope to get a bit more. At least 120, but, let's get up to 140 if possible. And then for the deadlift, I've tested this once as well in my life. So I've done 1 deadlift in my life. It was 180 kilos, 4 plates, which surprised me at the time. But, to be honest, like, I'm bigger now, I should be stronger. The only thing that's kind of the problem is like, after 180, you have 200 kilos, which sounds insane. So 200 kilos is going to be the goal. We'll see if it happens. But yeah, that's kind of what I expect in the gym. So I'm not going to do any commentary in the gym. I am a bit, how do I say it? I'm a bit too awkward for that. But, the video will be 2 parts. I'll be showing the lifts, and then afterwards we can discuss, which exercise helps me to get a good lift, or if I'm weak as fuck, which exercise I lacked in calisthenics as to why I'm so weak right now. So let's go. Okie dokie, so I'm gonna do a voiceover instead. For the squats, they are first up. I started with just the bar, and well, basically, I immediately noticed that I'm not as flexible as I used to be, because it's been, I think, 3 years since I last did a barbell squat, and before I was kind of used to it when I did 105 kilos, so then the technique felt better as well. But anyway, once I got like 3 sets in of just the bar, it felt quite okay. I was doing stretching in between, and so I decided to just put 2 plates, right, 60 kilos in total, and squat that weight. It was quite easy, and actually with the weight on it, it was like easier to get flexible, or I guess like to sink into the hole. So that was quite nice. So yeah, 60 kilos for a couple reps. I forgot how many reps I did, but then I moved on to 80, and even 80 felt, I remember from a couple of years ago, like 80 starts to feel heavy, but right now it was still fine. So that was quite nice. And then moving on to 100 kilos, I believe. So 100 kilos, I think I started doing singles here. So 100 kilos still feel like it exploded upwards. It's like more difficult to sink into the hole than to get out of it. Once you have control over the way down, I feel like it's easy to explode back up. But yeah, 100 kilos wasn't really a problem. And now we're getting into PR territory, because my lifetime PR is when I was 65 kilos, so 10 kilos lighter than I am at the moment. I think I got up to 105 kilos, and then I just called it quits because it was like really heavy. So the one I'm doing now is 110 kilos, which is a PR, so I was quite happy with that. And it felt heavier, of course, but still okay. So I decided to move on to 120 kilos, which is kind of, that's the bare minimum, So if I didn't get this one, I would have been quite disappointed. But, well, you can guess it from the way I'm speaking. This was not really a problem either. So after 120 kilos, I moved on to 130. So, well, let's play the clip, I guess. And then, well, you can see 130 moves up, but it's a bit more difficult, on the way up as well. I'm having trouble now, but it still felt okay. And here I was like debating, should I try 135? Should I try 140 kilos? So I decided to just go for 140, and then, you can see what happens here. So on 140 kilos, I failed, but like the control in the negative was fine, and I felt like, the limit was just my lower back and not really like, at the moment, I still don't feel sore in my quadriceps or glutes or hamstrings at all. So I decided to go for it again, and let's see what happens on 140 kilos. Three big boys, three plates on each side. Okay, so as you can see, failed on this one, but there was a bit of movement back upwards. I just felt like it wasn't gonna happen. I was gonna bend my back, which is not what you want. But I feel like, if I train for this even a little bit, I can get 140 kilos, which I'm very happy with, because, well, on the pistol squat, like the maximum weight I've had on my shoulders is 60 kilos. So obviously my lower back is gonna be quite weak, but I'm still happy with like how strong my legs felt, because even though I wasn't able to squat back up the 140 kilos, on the negative, it's manageable, so I'm quite happy with how that went. And well, 130 kilos on the squat, that's still a 25 kilo PR from last time I tried it without any practice beforehand. So yeah, that's quite nice. And well, when it comes to calisthenics exercises that help the squat, I think it's obvious, right? I mean, 90% of my bulking training for the legs, or the quadriceps, I should say, is just the pistol squat. So it's not going to come from anything else than that. And while the pistol squat is quite different than the normal squat, right? It is going to give you leg gains. And well, of course, I added weight, like I did weighted calisthenics for it. But, when it comes to calisthenics, even if you want to keep it pure body weight, I feel like you can just aim for volume on the pistol squat and get great results. Perhaps you won't get to like 140 kilo pistol squat or 130, but still, you'll become quite strong. So pistol squats, goated exercise. It's like, in my opinion, it's the must-do calisthenics exercise for legs if you're training pure body weight at least. But even if you like calisthenics and you train at home and you want to add some weight, it's a very good and solid option. All right, next up is bench. And for bench, well, I have never benched in my life, or well, I guess I have now because I'm recording this from after the fact. But this was the first time for me benching, and I have seen lots of fitness videos. I watch YouTube constantly with like every fitness related area, so including the bench, and I've watched like the technique as well. What surprised me the most was like how unstable the bar is when you have it in front of you, right, or when you have it on top of you. But anyway, I tried to focus on like planting my feet in the floor and then like bracing and like locking your back as well. But yeah, first of all, just 20 kilos. Of course, this is nothing. But then, I realized like the technique is very difficult. So I tried to do the warm up slowly, and then I moved on to 40 kilos. And 40 kilos, well, still like it's nothing, right? It feels heavy in the hands to just hold 40 kilos, but then once you're at the bottom, you can just explode it upwards. Like that's quite fun. But with this, I'll just play the warm-up clips. It's like 60 and 80 kilos still. But what I felt with the bench is that it's very difficult to first of all unrack, and then also to get the weight down in a stable fashion. And my friend noticed that I was actually like on the way down with the bench, I was moving the bar like almost to my belly, like forward instead of just downwards. And yeah, that was very weird, but I couldn't help it. It felt more natural that way. I guess that's from all the planche work, but yeah, even after the bench right now, I'm sitting here on the couch. I don't feel my chest at all. Like, I'm probably doing something wrong, but anyway, 60 and 80 kilos happened, and then I moved on to 100. And so for 100 kilos, I think, yeah, that was a single. You'll see me struggle here a little bit for the first time, but the 100 kilos, the bare minimum, checked off, quite nice. I mean, it's a great result, 100 kilos. So, still felt kind of okay. So afterwards, I tried 110 kilos, and well, I'll just play the clip and you can see what happens. Okay, so surprise, surprise, at least it was a bit of a surprise to me. I failed the 110 kilos. I actually tried twice and I failed twice. It was very difficult to get the bar stable at that point and then guide it down. And, you know, I don't want to say it was a technique problem. Like, obviously, you know, my technique wasn't good, but also, like, compared to the other weight, like 80 kilos and 100 kilos, I was able to control it fully all the way down and then just bust it back up. But with the 110 kilos, I felt for the first time, like, going down, I couldn't control it all the way down, you know? So I feel like that's a bit of the problem as well. Like, talking about strength, you know, I should have been stronger, I guess. Easier said than done. I think, like, the main difference between like a bench and the other exercises in calisthenics is, well, with a bench you're like wide and open, while a lot of pushing in calisthenics is closed. So let's talk about exercises that can get you better push strength in calisthenics. First of all, the planche, right? Planche is mainly shoulders, but, you know, still, the planche is like king of push exercises in my opinion. If you do the planche, if you get strong at planche, you will get strong at everything else. And in a way, you know, it's 100 kilos, only 100 kilos, but still, like, it's not like a newbie level in the gym, you know, it's like, I guess, a bit of intermediate or maybe like just below intermediate. So just by doing the planche, right, at body weight, it's insane, right? You do body weight exercises and you become able to do a 100 kilo bench basically, right? With just body weight training. I think that's quite insane. And it's basically the main factor of me being able to bench 100 kilos. But then secondly, a couple of months ago, I think like 3 or maybe 4 months right now, I started doing the push-ups, which maybe you've seen before, but I started doing lots of push-up volume, which I think also helped me, you know, because the push-ups are a bit more like open and wide on the chest. So definitely I think, you know, push-up volume is very nice to get a bench, but also like combining it with the planche is going to give you the most gains. And dips, you know, for some reason, like the dips, when you do dips, you're kind of in a closed position, you know, you're pushing, but your body is very tight like this. It's not open like this, you know, you're compact. And so I feel like, yes, dips, they do help, obviously, but, you know, I barely did dips, and also they're way easier to push because on the dips, well, like I mentioned, you're compact, it's closer to planche. So I feel like the planche has more carryover to dips than it has to the bench. At least that's my impression of it, you know. But yeah, bench 100 kilos, bare minimum, checked off, I guess. I'm kind of disappointed at this one. All right, and then we have the deadlift. So for deadlift, I didn't start with the bar because, well, how the hell are you gonna just pick up a bar? So with 60 kilos, right, to just mimic the movement. And immediately I noticed like my technique is off, you know, like I stretch my legs completely and then I do the rest. I stand up, I guess, after completely stretching my legs. My friend noticed this, and I tried to fix it, but for the love of God of me, I couldn't make, like, even for 60 kilos, I couldn't do the correct technique for me. Like, I just didn't understand it. We were watching tutorials on how to deadlift while warming up, basically. But yeah, 60 kilos, couple reps. I did it for 2 sets because I just wanted to try the technique, but then ended up just moving up to 100 kilos, moved nicely, obviously, and then I think we just kept jumping in like 20 kilos, you know, so 120, quite easy, 140, quite easy, 160, quite easy as well, but you can really like see that, you know, on the 161, like, it's almost a Romanian deadlift, you know, I pick the bar up, and then my legs just straighten completely, and then I pull the rest up with, I don't even know what the fuck I'm using, to be honest. Like, it's in any case not what you're supposed to do. So anyway, this is still known territory. I've deadlifted 180 kilos before, which is also the next deadlift. So yeah, the next deadlift is 180 kilo, and you can still see that it's flying up, you know. However, this is where the footage ends for the day, because on that lift, while it felt really easy, it felt way easier than what I did a couple years before. I'll put like a bit of a comparison or whatever, right? I pulled something in the side, not my lower back, to any surprise, not my lats, like nothing that you would expect to be pulled, but rather like some internal core muscle on the side. I don't know exactly which one, But basically, I felt something pull, and I decided to call it quits there. And I'm glad I did because, afterwards, I tried to just do like a pull-up hang like this on the top. And it's not my lats that hurt, but it's just like the stabilizing muscles in my core, they hurt, So I can't even hang like that at the moment. Even whether it's like with two arms or I try one arm on the left, it's my right side. It doesn't matter. It's just like the stabilizing muscles, they hurt. At the moment, like when I laugh, it hurts. When I pick something up in front of me, it hurts. I can still do a tuck planche. I can still do a push-up. So, I'm hoping it will heal, but yeah, that's kind of disappointing, right? 180 kilos was very fun, very easy, but it's just better to call it quits in time, and not push yourself. It's not worth it. But yeah, I would have liked to do 200 kilos there. I guess it didn't happen today. I am not planning on attempting it again, by the way, because I feel like it's really dangerous. Well, I proved that it's dangerous with the form that I'm using. So if I ever do try another 1 rep max on like squat, bench, and deadlift, I do want to have a couple trainings beforehand to try the technique, because yeah, like it's fun and cool to say like, oh, I tried my 1 rep max without training, but it's also quite risky. Anyway, like 180 kilos, still not that bad, Like I had more in me definitely if I didn't fucking pull myself apart. But when it comes to exercises that are beneficial for the deadlift, I feel like in calisthenics you have a lot of choices. I think, the deadlift is a whole, like it's a full body exercise. In calisthenics, you're more so gonna split it up. So the exercises that help me for the deadlift are first of all the front lever for upper back strength, right? You do the front lever and you're kind of in this position where you pull, right? And it's the same in the deadlift where if you go up, you're kind of pulling like this at the same time. You have that in the front lever as well. So it's very similar in a way in the fact that it's like straight arm strength as well. I feel like it translates a lot because you're also like you have to retract and stuff. Front lever is just, it's the best exercise, let's face it, and it's my favorite exercise to say the least. But, that's it for like upper body pulling strength. It will get you strong at the deadlift. But then also, you have the lower half, for which I think the Nordic curls are just gonna be like giving you the best bang for your buck. You do the Nordic curl, it's a complex exercise, you have to get used to it. It's difficult to learn, but just like the planche, once you have it, it's the king of all exercises, right? The planche is the king of push. The Nordic curl is the king of posterior chain exercises, especially when it comes to your lower half, So that connection from your lower back to your hamstrings and whatever the hell, the Nordic curl gets you covered. And if you combine it with the front lever, I think you're just on your way to, well, deadlift very easily heavy weights. But don't do the form I do, I don't know how this happens to me, or like how it, like why I have this weird form. But anyway, if you see it happening to yourself, don't continue deadlifting because it's dangerous. that's what we learned today. It's dangerous to try 1 rep maxes. But anyway, quite happy with how it went in general, I guess. Especially on the squat, I am happy. I'm happy that I tried this. It sucks that I like fucking hurt myself. But we'll just see how it evolves. I can still do push-ups, so I think that's gonna be my main training for a while. And hopefully in a week I'll be feeling better, back to normal, to basically do the normal planches and front lever that I'm used to. But I guess if you're I guess your question, if you had it, on will calisthenics get you strong is answered. Not that strong in the end, it's decent lifts, but not crazy. But you can still become stronger with calisthenics than, rather nothing, like doing nothing at all, If you're thinking to yourself like, oh, I shouldn't train because I can only do calisthenics and calisthenics wouldn't get me strong anyway, yeah, that's a lie. So get out of your couch. I'm sitting in my couch as well, so I have to shut the hell up. But start training and enjoy it for the most part. But yeah, that's it for today's training. It happened. I'm not happy with it because I'm in pain when I laugh. But we'll just I'll see you tomorrow for another training. Back to calisthenics, back to what I'm used to.